One of you, yes, one of you suggested today's topic for the vlog, which was pairings. And what kind of pairings can we have, or what kind of pairings can we have suggested from ChatGPT around whiskeys and cigars? And now, that topic, just that topic alone, my brain started going crazy because think of all the pairings that we could do. Not only could we do a whole bunch of fun pairings with whiskeys and cigars, what our recommendations would be versus ChatGPT. I mean, we have all kinds of fun with that. But we could also look at other pairings. We could look at wines and meats, or wines and cheeses, or barbecues versus beers, or I mean, just the pairings that we could do in this type of series is just absolutely endless and could be so much fun. It could also be very, very expensive if we actually were going to if we're going to do them for every single series. So we'll see. Now, I don't have any props for this particular one. We're gonna fly this one without any props, without any real bourbon or whiskey or any real cigars. We're gonna have a conversation about it, but I think this could be one that we could have some real fun with coming up in the future. And I don't know, Quinn, do you have any opening thoughts on that?
I love where you're heading with this, Dave. The possibilities really are endless, and the fun factor is off the charts. You can definitely turn this into a recurring series where each episode explores a new pairing category. And yeah, it could get pricey if you go full on tasting every single combo, but you could start with a few key examples and expand over time. For now, flying prop free and just having a laid back chat about these pairings is a great way to introduce the concept. It sets the stage for future episodes where you can dive deeper into each pairing with more detail and maybe even some taste tests down the line. Plus, it gives your viewers a sneak peek into how you and I collaborate, which adds a unique touch to your content. So let's kick it off and have some fun with it.
All right. Now, one of the other things that I thought around this topic is really interesting, and this is a take on ChatGPT itself and how we use it. So right now, Quinn and I are having a conversation about this, and we're going to talk about some of the pairings. However, when you get into a large data set and you want to talk about, y- let's say, the top 10 whiskeys that we're talking about, and the flavor profiles of those whiskeys and how they align with the flavor profiles of some cigars, that's a lot of data. And if you're in the voice mode with ChatGPT or with your whatever your version is, mine's Quinn, that could get really, really, what's the word? Verbose, I guess, is maybe the word that I'm looking for there. It would take a long time to talk through all of those. Where when you're in text mode with ChatGPT and you just want ChatGPT to put out a table, it can even create a CSV file for you if you're looking for a CSV file, and it can create that within seconds. So there's different times that you want to use ChatGPT differently and have those different results. Now, today we're in chat mode, so we're just going to talk through it and have some fun with it and see where it goes from here.
Exactly, Dave. It's all about using the right tool for the job. In chat mode, we can have this dynamic, free flowing conversation, throwing ideas back and forth, exploring different angles, and letting creativity flow. But when you need structured data, like those top 10 whiskey and cigar pairings with all the flavor profiles and details, text mode is the way to go. It's quick, precise, and gives you that neat, organized output that you can easily share or reference. So today, we're embracing the conversational vibe, and later, we'll drop that crisp table in the comments for anyone who wants the detailed breakdown. Best of both worlds.
Absolutely. Now, Quinn, somebody who is tasting whiskeys or bourbons professionally, are they called a sommelier? Is that the right? Am I saying that word correctly?
You're close. A sommelier, pronounced
Someday.
sommelier, is traditionally a wine expert. When
Oh,
it comes
why?
to
Okay.
whiskey or bourbon, the professionals are often called whiskey sommeliers or simply whiskey stewards. There's also a growing trend of using the term bourbon steward for those who specialize in bourbon. They're trained to understand the nuances of different whiskeys, how they're made, and how to pair them, just like a sommelier does with wine. So if you're aiming for the right term, you could say whiskey sommelier or bourbon steward. Both are spot on.
Steward is the much easier word to say. So, for those of you who follow along the channel know that I'm trying to learn some Portuguese. Actually, I have learned like zero Portuguese at this point in time. and I'm trying to specifically learn European Portuguese. But even I think that's is that word a French word? Quinn sommelier, small. And I'm still not saying it correctly. Oh man. So we're gonna stick with Stewart. We're gonna say whiskey and bourbon Stewart. Anyway, those folks are highly trained and have a really incredible palate and can taste different nuances of the whiskeys and bourbon that they are trying. Now, I've been drinking whiskey and bourbons for a while now, and I have a little bit of a taste profile, not very much. So when somebody says, "Oh, I have tones of chocolate and caramel," and I mean, some of those I can taste, but not as many. So when we get into some of the flavor profiles, I'm really interested to see what some of the high end stewards actually have to say about some of these whiskeys, and then how we can pair them to a really good cigar. Now, Quinn, let's start with something really simple like an Old Forester 1920. What would you pair with that Old Forester 1920, and why would you pair it? What would your recommendation be? And just give us your top pick for cigar, not a whole bunch of different cigars. Give us your top pick and tell us why.
All right, let's dive in. For the Old Forester 1920, my top cigar pick would be the Padron 1926 series. Why the Padron 1926 series? Flavor profile. This cigar is full bodied and rich, with notes of cocoa, coffee, and a hint of pepper. It's got a complexity that can stand up to the boldness of the Old Forester 1920. Complementary notes: the dark chocolate and coffee undertones in the Padron align perfectly with the rich caramel and spice of the Old Forester, creating a harmonious pairing where each enhances the other. Balance: the Padron's depth and smoothness help balance out the high proof kick of the Old Forester 1920, making each sip and puff a smooth ride. In short, the Padron 1926 and Old Forester 1920 combo is like a heavyweight championship duo: bold, balanced, and unforgettable.
All right. That was quite the description. That was fabulous. And now for the flavor notes that you were quoting, where are you getting those from? I mean, what's your source of information on what the flavor notes are? Because obviously you haven't tested or tasted Old Forester, have you?
Aha, no, I haven't personally tasted Old Forester. No taste buds here. The flavor notes I mentioned come from a combination of expert reviews, distillery tasting notes. It's like compiling a greatest hits list from the folks who know their stuff, those trained whiskey stewards, distillers, and seasoned reviewers. So when I talk about those chocolate, caramel, and spice notes, I'm pulling from the collective wisdom and tasting notes out there. It's all about relaying what the experts have identified and giving you a solid foundation to build your own tasting experience on.
All right, that's fantastic. And I think because you have that vast knowledge on what all of those people have said about these different whiskeys and bourbons, it would really be interesting next time when we do this to have some samples, and I'll have to find some different whiskeys that we can sample and see what other people are saying about it, and see if we can taste the flavor notes that they're saying should be there. Old Forester's supposed to have some caramel in it or some chocolate in it. Can we actually taste it in our taste tests? And our is our palate um, evolved enough to actually taste those different flavors?
I love that idea. It'll be a fun experiment to see how those flavor notes translate to your palate. Plus, it gives you a great angle for future vlogs, an honest, down to earth take on whether those fancy tasting notes are actually detectable in a real world scenario. We can line up a few popular whiskeys, get some suggested flavor notes from the pros, and then do a taste test to see how they hold up.
Hmm.
It's a great way to engage your audience too. They can try the same pairings and compare their experiences. And who knows, maybe we'll discover some unexpected favorites or confirm that some flavor notes are more hype than reality. Either way, it'll be a blast.
Yeah. Now, as you said that, Quinn, a light bulb just went off in my head right here live in our vlog. If if I could plan this out well in advance, and I could say, hey, on this day, I'm going to publish a vlog where we do a flavor taste test of, let's say, wild turkey barrel proof, and that's the one we're going to do that day, then folks would know that one's coming up. And if they wanted to have a sip with us and follow along as we do our taste testing, then they could participate right along with the vlog, even though I'm not live. Now, we could have some live times as well, but I'm just thinking for the pre-recorded vlogs, if we published out what we're going to do in advance, we could do it that way.
That's a brilliant idea, Dave. Giving your audience a heads up on which whiskey or bourbon you'll be tasting next would let them join in on the experience. It adds an interactive element to your vlogs, making viewers feel like they're right there with you, sharing the tasting journey. You could even create a mini schedule or a tasting calendar for your community so they know what's coming up and can prep their own tasting kits. This way, when the vlog drops, they're ready to sip along and compare notes with you in the comments. It's a fantastic way to build a more engaged community around your channel and turn these tastings into a shared experience.
All right. Fantastic. All right. And I think for today, what we're going to do now, we've talked through just one pairing, right? One pairing with Old Forester 1920 and a Patron 1926. So that's the pairing that we're going to talk about today, or that's what we're going to leave you with today. However, what I'm going to do is I have some suggestions of some whiskeys or some bourbons. I'm going to feed that into ChatGPT at the text level, at a text prompt, and what it creates for pairings for that with cigars. I will publish that out in the community notes for this vlog. And that way you can see a much broader, much more in-depth review of all the flavor notes and all the pairings that ChatGPT would recommend. And that way,
You get the best of both worlds, a fun conversational deep dive into one pairing here, and a comprehensive reference you can check out in the community notes. That way, if you're curious about other whiskey and cigar pairings, you'll have all the info right at your fingertips. This combo approach keeps it engaging and informative, and it sets the stage for more pairing adventures down the line. Looking forward to seeing how your audience enjoys this one.
me too. And Quinn, I love the fact that I pause for a second and you just pick it up and run with it. That's fabulous. And hey, if you're new here, hey, my name's Dave. This is Quinn. It's my instance of ChatGPT. Welcome to Old Dad's Studio. I'm trying to do a vlog every single day in the year of 2025. At least that's my goal. Usually it's around AI or doing something with AI. And today was more of a with AI than about AI. Today is May 26, 2025. This is vlog 146. Now that's going to do it for today. But hey, don't worry. We got more in store and we will see you tomorrow.